Welcome to the Coach Potato Podcast, a podcast about fitness, mental health, and lifestyle. I'm your host, Jessica Yee, and let's get into it. Whew, it's been a while since I made an episode, so thank you for listening and welcome back. Life's been a lot lately, and if I do sound a little bit sick, I am. Still trying to get over a cold or some sort of something. And I'm still a little sniffly, and my throat still hurts, and yeah, it's been a week of resting, and I've tried my best to rest, and it's pretty tough. But for today's topic, I want to talk about this house buying process that I am going through right now. If you know me in real life, I'm trying to buy a house or our forever home. So it's been a little bit stressful, and I'm not here to give you advice on buying a house, but just some certain life things that I have learned throughout this whole process. No, this is not my first time going through the process of buying a house. The place I am actually currently recording at is the townhouse that we own, and we bought this 4 years ago, and now we're gonna try to get a yard and do all that fun stuff. So fingers crossed everything works out. Everything's been pretty much at the beginning stages right now, or past the beginning stages, and everything is at that first point where we've done everything in our control, and now we're just kind of waiting. So this episode might be a long one, so get all comfy if you're watching this. As you can see, I'm in a hoodie with my bun up and sitting on this couch with a comforter right on top, getting all comfy. So have a seat, get rested, just chill out, and bear with me for this episode. I think there's gonna be some decent insights here. Not about the house market or the housing market and all that stuff, but just life lessons. And I just wanted to talk about it because I'm just so tired right now. I don't know how or why this is so exhausting, but that's okay. Things are fine and things are looking up right now, so fingers crossed things keep looking up. First part of this episode, or this whole house buying thing and learning from it, is learning how to let go of control. I guess I could say I am quite the control freak in general. So I just believe everything needs to be in control, whether that be with my business, my training. If a client gets injured and they're on an online program, I get very antsy and very upset with myself. But sometimes, there's a lot of different things that can come into play with this housing thing, but also in training, right? My client could have had not enough sleep, or could have done or overdid something prior to, or maybe something completely outside my program, or there's some life stresses that I don't even know about because they didn't tell me, and that's not in my control, and that's okay. Understanding, this was actually a thing that I've been kind of dealing with in the last few weeks, is understanding that, let's say with fitness, the programming or them getting injured may not be your fault. Obviously, there are moments where it can be your fault for sure, but especially in the online training world, things are only in your control as much as you can. Even in person, when you're watching the person, cueing the person, coaching the person, things are still going to happen and it's still out of your control. But with this house buying process, that has really come back in and really reminded me that you can only do so much. So us trying to sell this house, we can just clean it as best as we can. We could put money into, whatever we need to put money into, but our house is not going to be for everyone, and that's okay. Another thing is we have pets. We have a very shedding dog and a long hair kitten. So these animals, they shed, and we can only do so much with it. So we vacuumed, we raked. I don't know if you've seen those raking things on Instagram or Amazon or something. Yes, we have carpet in this house, so we raked it out. We did the water carpet cleaner thing. We did all of that, and obviously there could still be hair, things that we may have missed. It's pretty hard to see all of the hair all the time. So it's when you get feedback like, oh, the house is perfect, but there's dog smell or cat smell or not big animal fans. I get it. And it's like, oh, it just hurts. And it's like, why does no one love my animals? But it's not everyone's an animal person and you can't control that. So little things like that, like you can do so much to prep your house to make sure you get as much money as you can for your house or whatever it is, or make sure everyone loves your house and you want it to like be like the best one on the block, whatever. But it's not in your control if people like it. It's not in your control if like it shows well. Like you could try your best, keep it clean, do all this stuff, but not everything's in your control. So that's the first lesson of today's podcast episode, is not everything is in your control, and understanding that will just give you like learning how to fully accept it just helps you relax. That is the first lesson of just like for life. Like not everything is in your control, whether you're a trainer, whether it's for work, whether it's about your house, whether it's about life. This will help calm your brain down, understand that it's not in your control. It's not like you purposely like wanted to injure someone with like ill intent, or you are purposely stuffing fur into the carpet so your house doesn't show well. That's not what's happening. It's like people's reactions, how people perceive things is not in your control. For example, if I say something to a friend and they don't take it well, that's not my okay, obviously if I say something like without ill intent, if I say something bad, then obviously then that's bad, then that's my problem. But let's say I say something, a statement to someone without it being like, without it supposed to, like, it's not supposed to upset them, but for some reason that statement does upset them and that wasn't the point, but you're stressed because like you feel like it's your fault. That one is not your control. Their reaction or how they respond to you is not in your control. So that is lesson 1. Lesson 2, money. Money. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not a money guru on YouTube. I am not anything when it comes to money. I'm not great with it. I'm trying to be better about it. And the psychology of money, just in general, P.S. I haven't read that book yet, but I will. Just money in general is a scary thing. So lesson number 2 is just because you're, let's say, approved for X amount of dollars doesn't mean you have to go all the way to that amount. Like so for example, let's say, houses do not cost this much here, but let's just play around with the number of like $100. Oh my gosh, if a house cost $100, that would be awesome. But that's not the point of lesson number 2 for today's episode. So let's say, okay, we got approved for $100 for this house, or whatever house we're trying to get, or $100 for whatever. And it's like, that is like your top end budget. Like that's all like you get. If you're pushing it, like maybe you can go like 110 and it'll still be okay. But it's like a little risky. But like, let's say like $80 is like ideal. Like $80, everything's smooth sailing, stress-wise, everything's all good. But if you really, really, really wanted to, you could totally do the $100 and everything will be okay. Everything will be actually fine, probably. But yeah, so what I'm trying to go with this is that, yeah, we could have gotten a place or put an offer in a place that costs $100, right at the top end of our budget. But did I feel comfortable with that? No, because first of all, my profession as a trainer, it's not like a monthly salary. It's different. Your money goes up and down, blah, blah, blah. And like my typical money habits, which is not good, just gonna admit it right there, is to, spend every penny you've got. If you want that place or whatever, you want that item, that whatever, just go get it. If you have the money, just take it. But is that good for your budget or your mental health in the long run? I don't think so. So what I did was, let's go maybe $10 less, so let's say we get a place for $90 because it helps me feel calm, because I feel comfortable with it. I also feel like the whole financial situation of it would be a lot easier in terms of getting approved, getting this, getting that. Also, just think about the monthly. Like, do you want to be house broke? Do you want to be broke? Yeah, this is why I'm not a financial advisor or anything like that, or in the money scene. This is kind of how I talk about money. But like, what I'm trying to say is like, that number, that $90, like, it's a little under your top end, a little bit higher than like the guaranteed amount, but you get that like nice little buffer where you get that like you get everything you want out of that house except for maybe one thing, but your monthly payments are lower, or like the feel of everything just feels better. Like you feel like, oh, the process, like these next 2 weeks of like trying to get approval or whatever it is and getting that all settled feels easier, or like this is in your control. You know, tying it back to the first thing that I was talking about, this whole thing of picking it is in your control. So why not just pick the right like amount? Like pick a good amount. Still get the best place for you and your family, or for your comfort level and your financial situation, and do it a little bit more stress-free by like just getting something that you're comfortable with. Also, yes, we all need a home, we all need a house, we all need that, but you also need to live life outside of your house as well. You have to understand it's not all about your house. Growing up, my mom, oh my gosh, like she would show off about how long it would take her to clean the house. Granted, it takes forever to clean a house, and to be honest, I was spoiled where I didn't really clean that much. But that's not the point. The point is she was obsessed with her house. The point is there is a life outside of the house. So, you know, you don't need to put all your money into the house and then just have nothing else, or go house broke, or like not live your life outside of your house. Your home and everything, that is your home, and yes, that is important. Trust me, like a home or feeling at home is very important to me, but you don't need to put your life savings into that home and then have nothing else to live for except for that home. So that's lesson number 2. Lesson number 3, don't compare yourselves to others. This is a lesson that's not necessarily because of this housing thing, but I was like really reminded by it. So first of all, everyone is in a different stage of their lives. Everyone is at a different stage. So comparing yourself or comparing your house or whatever you want to buy, or your dream house, to someone else's dream house or someone else's current house is useless. It's just going to make you feel bad. And I don't even like why are you comparing yourself? You have your own, like, I'm a hypocrite on this because, to be honest, I do compare myself and like my body with a lot of people on Instagram. It's really toxic. To be fair, as a trainer, it does feel like you have to be ripped and jacked and have big boobs somehow, even if you weren't born with a big chest or those genes. Anyways, to look a certain way, right? So I am a hypocrite on this one, but in terms of housing, specifically housing, hopefully this lesson can like be taken and then like put into other aspects of your life. But in terms of housing, maybe your dream house is not exactly the same as someone else's dream house. Maybe your budget doesn't give you the same leeway as someone else's budget, tying in a lesson number 2. Look at that. You know, we're bringing everything back and putting it all together. But let's say we all have the same budget of $100 for a house, and everything's all good and everything's guaranteed for $100. One $100 house could look completely different and be in a very different neighborhood, or just have different aesthetics than a different $100 house. Not everyone has the same opinion on what they want to live in or where they want to live. So comparing yourself or comparing your house or the place you want to someone else, or like, I don't know. I don't mind getting opinions from others. It's fine. Like, that's totally fine. I like hearing it because, like, what if it is something I miss? Like, for example, one thing, like an opinion my dad gave us when we were looking for a townhouse is be careful, like you don't really want people to really, you don't want to look into other people's yards, like for your the front of your house. So for townhouses, typically you're probably going to see your neighbors like from the back, like both backs. But the house, like the front, your front door, you could probably, or like even that front window, like you'll probably look, so you're already looking, your back, oh my gosh, how do I explain this? The back of your house, you're already looking at your neighbors. And then the front of your house, you're going to be looking at your neighbors again, or you're very close to that next neighbor. That's kind of how the townhouses work here, or at least from wherever I live, at least. And so that was a good point that I didn't notice, and we almost put an offer in 4 years ago at this other place where it was looking on onto someone else's backyard, and we were already looking at our neighbors. So it's like, oh, we just got neighbors real close, front and back. But now the one we're living at right now, the front, yeah, you can see your neighbors, but it's like across the street. It's not like right there, not in close proximity. So yeah, that was a thing that never really crossed my mind as something that would probably bother me. Okay, I took that opinion in. Great. Some other opinions, like I took in, but it wasn't something that affected me or, bothered me when we were looking for a house. So what I'm saying with this is your interests are very different. What you want to live in is very different. The area you want to live in is very different, and that's okay. Everyone will give their opinion, and even if they don't, that's fine too, right? Like, I personally like criticism, so I'll take it in. Sometimes I overthink it, but then I'm also like, okay, what do I truly want? Here's my list that I've created and written down. This is what I want from a house. This person's opinion doesn't align with what I want, so I shouldn't necessarily listen to it. Obviously, depending on the opinion, right? Like, let's say someone gave me this opinion like, oh, this is too, I don't know. Let's say someone gave this opinion of this is too north of the city. Yes, this new place or this new area we're looking at is a little bit more north, towards the north area of the city, but that benefits me and my partner in terms of work. We would then be living way closer, cut our travel time in half for most of our jobs, and like that just benefits us. So if it doesn't work for you, that's okay. I'm not one to want to travel outside of the city to work or to live and then drive in or like be very south, which I am right now, way too south. And I'm so far from work. I'm so far from everything. I'm so far from blah, blah, blah. That's my opinion. If you want to and that's okay for you, then that's great for you. For me, no, I would rather be a little bit closer to everything, especially my job. What I'm trying to say is don't compare yourself. Like, okay, someone might have, let's say, $200 for their house and you only got approved $100, but that doesn't, like, we don't know everyone's story. If they want that big house that's for $200, then great. But I personally want a smaller house. That's it. The reason I want a smaller house is, honestly, it's easier to clean. There's so many different benefits. Sometimes a simpler life is what I need. I just need, okay, we have one floor. This is all we gotta take care of. It's X amount of square feet, 1,000 or less, please. Or square footage. I'd love a place that's like 1,000 or less, just to keep things more settled in my brain. Because I'm not one, like, I don't know. I'm not one to necessarily show off my house. Like, oh, I have the biggest house on the block. I am richer than you. I am better than you, blah, blah, blah. No, honestly, I don't have as much money. Also, I also just don't, even if I had $500 or like whatever approval for this house instead of 100, I just don't need that much space. Let's say I was approved for that much, just don't need it. Not good for my brain, not healthy. Also, when you have more space, you tend to buy more stuff to fill it up. I don't want to do that. I want to buy good quality stuff, very specific, very little things, fill up the house with proper things and have it very, minimal-ish. Or I like to think I'm more of an essentialist now. Like, have what you need, not too much of it, just enough. And then another thing is like, what if you have kids? Don't you need like something that's like 2,000 square feet? Okay, that's a little bit of an exaggeration, but no, you know what? I'm going to take my kid, make sure we go into the backyard. Oh, big backyard is huge though. The house itself, whatever. I'll take my kid, put them in the backyard, and then we'll run there. Or we'll go for a walk. Or we'll go to, apparently libraries, like public libraries are like solid for kids. So maybe we'll go there. Or maybe I'll take them to the park or something. Like get outside of the house, essentially, is what I want to do. I want this new place to encourage me and my family to get out. To experience life a little bit more or experience life a little differently. Anyways, that's a little bit of a tangent, but essentially what I'm trying to say is don't let others pull you down. Don't let other people's opinions, if it doesn't matter, bring you down. Don't let the comparison of, oh wow, that house is beautiful, bring you down, because that's sometimes society's like, okay, you have to have a house like this. But really, truly, if you really dig deep and like internalize what you really want, it might not even look like that. If you even want to spend your money on that. So yes, don't compare yourself. Just like your body, your house, just things in general. Just to remind everyone, I don't know how far into this episode you're in, but all of this is very hopefully tangible tips or helpful things that can be taken out of this whole housing process context and then put into your life in a different way. Lesson number 4. This is your home. This is where you're gonna live. This is not where anyone else is gonna live. This is kind of like advice, I guess, you would give to someone who's about to get married. There's always gonna be chatter. There's always gonna be like comparisons. There's always gonna be someone yelling in your ear like do this for your wedding, invite these people, invite that. Like, that is your wedding. That is your day with you and your partner. Like, it should be your day. It should be what you want out of it. It should be like your choice on things. So that's the same with the house too. Is like, this is your home, or like your future home, and this is like possibly your forever home. Don't let people basically bring you down. Like, this is for you. They're not living in it. So this is your safe space. This is for you. So learning how to understand that has really helped me too. And like, no one else, like, it's not this person who's living there. It's me. It's me and my family who's living there. And what I think is best for at least me and my family. Obviously, like, there might be a little bit of like difficulties, but I think that's with almost every decision. Just trying to pick what is best for you and your family is gonna be what's best for them. Like, as much as you can, trying to find the right place as best as you can, right? And then lastly, final tip, fall in love with the process. Oh my gosh, when we first started this, I was so stressed. And like, I don't regret being stressed. I think that's normal. But I just didn't even want to go see houses. I just wanted to give up. And now, like, after finding the place, it's like, that was kind of worth it. Like, understand things take time. Fall in love with the process of wedding planning. Fall in love with the process of, I don't know, college, even if it sucks. University was rough. But fall in love with the process of things taking time. You can't find your dream home just by like looking at one place. You can't find your dream partner without dating around and having really bad experiences. Unless you're lucky and then they're just like, you know, your first date. Okay, great, cool. Not everyone gets that, right? So fall in love with the process and understand things take time. Even with like your body or an injury. I always have to like educate my clients that, like, especially when they're injured, like, things will take time for things to come back to normal. You can't be frustrated with it. We're gonna work through this. We're gonna maybe change things up for now, but we will get back to hopefully that normal, or quote unquote normal, that you want, and then move on from there. Do some preventative stuff. Make sure you're strong enough that it won't happen again. But there's a lot of things out of our control. Lesson number 2. But like, things take time. That's just the reality of life, unfortunately. Can't be a millionaire tomorrow. You can't be an NBA player tomorrow. It's just, it is what it is. So fall in love with the process. Be as positive as you can. Understand that you're gonna have stressful feelings. You're gonna just feel like a mess maybe the majority of the time, but it's part of the process. And once you find that perfect house, or find, you know, that perfect job or that perfect person, it will be all worth it in the end. So fall in love with the process. Anyways, thanks for hanging out with me, whether you're in the car, at home, listening to this, watching this, whatever it is. Just wanted to say thank you. It's nice to be recording something again. I do feel like I'm ranting. I'm sorry. I hope it's helpful at all. It does feel good to just like let it out and then see if like 1 or 2 people listen, and then also hopefully learn from it. So it feels really good to be back, even if I'm a little nasally. I really I have issues with what's it called? Not relationships, commitment. Which is kind of weird to say for someone who's been with the same man for like almost 11 years. But I actually do have issues with like stating a commitment, but I really do want to get back on a regular schedule on this. Thursdays at 6 p.m. every single week again. That would just make my heart so full. And so I will be back next Thursday at 6 p.m. If I'm not, I'm sorry. But that's the goal here. I'm feeling a little anxious saying that, but I want to be back every week here. So yeah, I will see you next Thursday at 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time if you listen to this outside of that time zone for some reason.